the reason she would know anything about me on media is because I don't know if you know this about her, but she used to be a reporter, right? Very good reporter. She's done a great job with the cops office. Worked with her for a number of years. So thank you for all you do for what the cops office does. I may be the one who knows the least amount about social media, honestly, and also I'm happy getting some introductory on somebody that people really know about this. Bill Blair from Toronto. I don't know that there's a department really in the world that is doing as much as his department is in social media. And I don't just say that. I've been up to Toronto. I've worked with his staff, so I'm, Toronto and Milwaukee, which you all have done, has been very impressive with your website and all of those things. So I did want to say, to underscore what Catherine said, this is maybe the most important thing I say all day, which is this publication, which the cops office has put out, has a lot of material in it. We worked on it with the cops office. We worked with a number of departments, let's say in Toronto. We worked with the NYPD heavily on this. In fact, in this publication, we have the NYPD's policy on social media. And I think that's very important for departments to have that. So if you get nothing out of it, this is a great resource. It's everything that the cops office does is available to you. And so, please take advantage of it. I have these, I'm not good with prepared notes, so my staff made a little speech, but I don't want to give a speech. I want to make about 8 kind of observations about this notion of social media. I think it's really changing everything about how we think about our lives and about work. And we just had a big session on cybercrime. And there is a real intersection, I think, between social media and cybercrime. It's actually hard, to know where one starts and one begins. And so, for example, in one day in New York City, there would be this coordinated effort to go to 1,000 ATM machines and get money out of them, which would result in over $45 million worth of theft in that one day. And it was a whole coordinated effort through a number of different sources. Well, they had to get those, passwords that people put in. That one crime would be more than all of the bank robberies in the United States in 1 year. And yet, from a media standpoint, that got played a couple of days. If a couple of guys went into, stole a Brinks truck and stole $3 million, that would get more publicity. So I really believe what's happening in terms, we're just on the front edge of what cybercrime and social media is. And the social media and the cybercrime begin to intersect, I think, in strange ways too, because you will, if you haven't already, if you haven't been targeted by Anonymous for something that you have done that's related to your work, it's really an interesting experience. And that happened to us at Perth. We were involved in a number of things. But one thing that we were involved in was the Occupy movement. We worked with a number of departments around the country, and that got interpreted as a coordinated crackdown, which of course it wasn't. Anonymous, if you haven't dealt with them, this is like 12 or 13-year-old kids in their home, in their basement now, who have this enormous power. And so, we were notified by the FBI that at 5 o'clock that day, there was an attempt on our website. They're going to try to download all of our emails. And so this thought of every stupid email you've ever sent out is going to be, out there for the world. But it gets serious when, you see your name and you see see your children's names and their addresses and their home phone numbers and all of your information out there. Where social media and cybercrime intersect too is on things like Facebook, for example. Now, I don't do Facebook, I don't have time, it's just not something I want to do. But I work in Chicago, and I see some friends from Chicago here. I see this in the back row of Chicago. So where Facebook and crime start to intersect is when you have gang activity. And the gang activity is now not being generated by, drug dealing on the streets. It's being generated by one person talking about a crime that they committed, or one gang being talking about what they did. And so this becomes, like in the Chicago Police Department, they're now tracking, when something happens on Facebook and so forth. So the social media part of it is the putting the information on. The crime part of it becomes one gang doing this. I found interesting, we had someone from Chicago in one of our meetings on cybercrime, and I'll tell my Chicago friends in the room that what is happening is the gangs are starting to transition out of their drug dealing and realizing that they can make a lot more money with less consequences by trying to, maybe there's a concert in town and they're going to generate information about that and try to sell tickets on the internet and make a lot of money doing that. Why shouldn't they do that rather than, be on a street corner getting arrested? So I think things are starting to change. Social media and cybercrime are making everything we do faster. Bill Blair will talk about, if he hasn't, he did yesterday, incredible story that he's dealing with up in Toronto with a use of force situation. So where social media, cybercrime, all of these things start to intersect because they make decision making faster. Why? So they have a YouTube, someone takes a picture of what this incident was up in Toronto. It goes viral, it goes around the world. He then has he doesn't have the luxury to say to his community, well, the media, the traditional media, is blasting out this image of his officers. He responds within 24 hours, makes a video, and puts that out there. In Boston, with the Boston bombing case, Ed Davis, the police commissioner there, would use social media in a very effective way. He would, both when the suspect, what turned out to be suspects, when the suspect was said to have been arrested, the Boston police immediately put out he wasn't arrested. When the suspect was arrested in Boston, they put out the suspect under the Boston police social media. Suspect arrested under patrol. I'm sure the FBI wasn't pleased about that, but that's so. I just wanted to kind of open up the discussion with with just some of these ways we have to think about it. Polk County, the case of Polk County, great judge, sheriff, great judge. Terrible case of a juvenile girl who was bullied and committed suicide. And then the people who did this, they were bullied, that went on the internet, started, talking about it, saying, this and that. Great judge, sheriff down there, read this stuff, and then brought charges. Also, interesting enough, their names went public, juveniles' names went public, which is unusual. Charged them as felonies. So social media becomes this thing that terrorizes juveniles. One commits suicide, two are then identified and then arrested. So now, what's the role of police? Who owns that case? Is that Polk County Sheriff? Is that the FBI? Is that the Secret Service? Who owns this? So I think this is some issue. Anyhow, I want to stop there and let the people actually know something about this part, and just say I look forward to your questions, and thank you for having another panel. Yes, sir.